everyone, Voodoo here, and in today's video, I wanted to give you guys some updated Havoc Demon Hunter sims, and also show you guys one of probably the most useful tools to come out of our community in a long time. So if you're wondering what I was talking about, this is the Havoc Demon Hunter simulation sheet. Now this was made by Atrayen from the Discord, so big shout out to him. Right up here. This is based on something that the Rogues do. Whisper from the Rogues Discord does something like this for the Rogues. Now we have one for Havoc. So this is going to be such a good tool for everybody to use. It's pinned in the Havoc Demon Hunter Discord. I will drop the link down below as well. And this is basically going to be a master document covering every single simulation type you'd want. There's more stuff to come. I believe he's working on like trinket sims and gear and stuff like that to show up in here. But for now, we have basically everything you'd ever want at your fingertips right here. All of the sims you'd ever need for our biz stuff. And it is such a good thing. So again, shout out to Atrayen, who was inspired by Whispers from the Rogue Discord. Very, very useful. So this is all post buff. So I wanted to just take a moment here, hop into the thing, explain the sheet a little bit to you guys, and talk about our sims after buffs. So this is after the buffs we received the other day, the 6%, 6.5% single target. And you can see in our standard Glaive momentum build, we're doing pretty good, 145k. So click the link here, it'll open up the raid bots link. And right here, you can see our top gear sim for our BIS single target. Now I will say, Havoc single target does oversim by a few thousand, due in part to a few different abilities, one of which is Fart of the Flame. Very hard to model this properly. It doesn't turn off isolated prey. It doesn't turn off a few things. It always gives you initiative, which isn't necessarily true. Demonic Appetite also oversims a bit. Blind Fury was oversimming before. That's been fixed. Demonic Appetite oversims a bit as well because of just like godlike soul fragment usage. So it's like almost perfect with how it uses its soul fragments. So Havoc, despite simming very, very well, is one of those classes that does tend to oversim a bit. So of course, take sims with a grain of salt. You could probably subtract this by a few thousand and have it be closer to what is reality. We also, of course, suffer a lot from downtime. This is like perfect uptime. We need uptime for Shattered Destiny and Cycle of Hatred to work. So keep that in mind as we go through the sheet here. But you can see here, after the buffs, we are simming pretty well. 145k. There's a lot of APL refinement that went into this as well. Things to do with like bomb and just different soul usage and stuff like that. But we're doing pretty well. We're sitting kind of pretty here. And you can see there's actually on this sheet a bunch of different variations as well. So this is the one with Netherwalk. So taking Netherwalk is roughly a 1.8% difference. Other options like a 3%. So there's really no scenario we can ever take these. But by itself, our single target build is doing very well. 145 is a great number to be at. Pretty happy with that. We'll probably be pretty good in raid. We're going to be really good on bosses such as the last two with all the adds to deal damage to. So I do think Havoc will be overall in a solid spot. We're at the bottom right now. But as we go through the tier, we gain more of our board power procs that do all of our damage. If we go here to quick sim, you can see that a lot of our damage comes from things that aren't our own damage. So Bomb Dispenser, Vile Bile, Corrosive Slime, Echoed Flare. All of that is going to be just like item sources, you know, so lots of our damage isn't from our own damage. Same with Brewkeeper's Blaze. So as people gain these things, you're gonna see Havoc start to pop up higher and higher on the tier. The Annihilation buff really just is kind of crazy for our overall damage as well. Annihilation is doing a lot of our damage now. Death Sweep as well, although Death Sweep now without our tier does do less damage. So we'll pop back over to the sim here and I'll explore the rest of the builds. So this is Restless Hunter Momentums. This is the old build that's slightly behind. Go quick sim here again. You can see a little bit less, but you know, not that big of a deal if you don't want to use the Throw Glaive stuff. And then there's Chaos Theory, again, a bit behind. And then there's No Mover. You don't want to do No Mover. So you see here it says No Mover is not recommended. It's like 5-6% behind. I also wouldn't recommend No Mover because even with No Mover, you do have to move due to isolated prey. So I really don't think this is really worth it. But hey, if that's something you want to do, and then go ahead. I'm back to the sheet. I do want to talk about this little note here. You can see Toxic Thornfoot Wraps do sim better than Expulsion Boots. However, the better is better for M+. You can craft either one, but Slimy is a better overall choice early on in gearing. I crafted Thorny Boots. They're slightly better for raid, which is why I went with that. I know I'm a raid first kind of player. But Slimy Boots is a better overall option, but both of them are very close to each other. It's not a big difference either way. Don't feel too bad about that. We even have D-Slice sims on this sheet as well. So the standard build, momentum, anything is necessary. Sims pretty well, 169. Shattered Tempest sims a bit behind it. Then we have two of these bit meme builds. These sim really well in Dungeon Slice, but in reality don't perform that well. That's just one of those weird things about Z-Slice, how it doesn't really mimic an actual dungeon. It's a close, like, lazy representative, but again, not the best thing in terms of general overall utility. I'll probably do videos on some of these builds as well, but I wouldn't recommend these, even though they are performing better. In-game, you won't really see this big of a difference, and then in larger pulls as well, momentum any means necessary will be a bit better than some of the other options here. But again, you want to check embellishments, you want to check gear, sims, it's all there. Moving on down to the rest of the sheet now, we have some cool stuff down here. So the tier set value is actually a pretty good one. So this shows our gain from no bonus, so this is having no tier in our full biz setup, to 2 sets. So 2 sets are roughly a 7,000 DPS gain, and then 4 set is roughly 5,000 on top of that. Totaling for a pretty big gain now, 9%. Is a pretty decent gain in terms of tier. I think it was 10% before, but the buffs kind of shifted our damage away from I-Beam a bit, which did, of course, make the tier set a bit weaker. But it's not that big of a deal in full, in the grand scheme of things. Dungeon Slice, again, a little bit weaker as well. This is running with Momentum Any Means Necessary, which is our better AoE build. It's a bit worse there, but overall, tier set is pretty strong. You definitely want to get it up as soon as you can. And then we can see down here as well, just the gains from single target and from Dungeon Slice compared to Mythic Tier 9. So Mythic Tier 9 is going to be a full Mythic tier set from Vault of the Incarnates. You can see here it's at 107 in our base gear. And then we start to see different breakpoints of when to break your tier set. So this is another cool thing that the sheet has. You can see here, 2-piece normal from the new tier will end up beating out on Mythic Tier 29. 4-piece normal also beats it out. And then 2-piece heroic really beats it out, and 4-piece heroic really beats it out as well. In AoE though, our old tier set is better up until the 4-piece heroic range in Dungeon Slice. Now again, I would probably just swap over to the new tier. I do think it's probably going to be a bit better for you just in general. Higher eye level, stuff like that. This is probably a weird thing to do with swimming, but in most scenarios, if you get 2-piece normal, it does beat out on Mythic Tier 29. So you should probably swap your tier set as soon as possible. Over here, we have like a consumable value chart, which I think is really useful. Just showing a bunch of different values that consumables give you. We can see here that Rune gives you about a little bit less than 1%. There's all the different files. So Corrupting Rage at 85% is after the fix. Corrupting Rage is fixed now. Gives us a pretty good amount of value here. Elemental Chaos and Versatility are roughly the same as well. In AoE, Versatility is a bit better. It's not too far behind Corrupting Rage, so if you do need that survivability, it's kind of going to be a good one to pick up. We see the different runes as well. Buzzing Rune is the crit one, Howling is the haste one, which honestly is pretty close in single target, but crit rune is just going to be better overall. Hissing is mastery. Different potions, ultimate power is just your combat pot. Shocking to closers zaps around you. Again, just going to be what you expect, the better one. And then there's a weird thing here. So at full base gear, we actually have Critical Strike Mastery food end up beating out Agility food. So that's going to be a really weird, interesting thing. So we actually see that crit food in our full base gear is actually just going to be better than mastery food. It's not mastery, main stat food in almost every scenario once you hit that full gear. So we're going with the sim here. We can look at the HTML report and see what gear this has. We scroll all the way down to the bottom. Gear. So this is in our full base setup. And in this full base setup, the crit stat food actually does end up being better, which is a very interesting thing here. So tier 30 with no food, then with food, and then with the crit food. So I think this is really cool, really interesting. So definitely want to keep some crit food on hand for you. Now, of course, your raid probably won't provide for you crit food. They normally just provide like feasts and stuff. So keep that in mind, but it is going to be a bit better for you. Rounding off the sheet here, we have external buffs and their gains. Of course, this stuff you're going to have almost all the time. Bloodlust, Battle Shout, Mystic Touch actually doesn't give us that much. Most of our damage is not physical, right? Then Wind Fury Totem, pretty good, 2% gain for us now. Markedly Wild, 3%. Evoker buff is like 0.2, which is funny. And then just other useful stuff up here. You're going to have all of these in a raid. In AoE, our best one is Battle Shout. Attack power makes all of our things scale, so that's pretty good. And then Verse is the second best. But Verse also, of course, has survivability bonus to it. We can see also that Bloodlust is actually not as good in AoE. It's because in AoE, haste doesn't really do us that much. Doesn't really give us that much benefit. So it's not that big of a deal. So here, PI now is actually roughly a 4.5% increase. So PI is probably pretty good for us if you don't have any better targets. Now there are much better targets in the raid than a 4.5% increase. Evokers, mages, warlocks, they all get way more. DKs, they'll get way more. But you know, it's a 6,000 DPS increase. So if there's no one else in your raid to take better use of it, we're not a terrible choice. You can see here, Blessing of Summer, also not bad, 2.35, and Blessing of Autumn, which is the CDR, 1.12. So there's a lot of different numbers and values in here, but this is really just kind of going to be your overall like hub for everything sim related for Havoc. Atrayen has done a great job. Havoc itself is doing pretty good, 145. Again, we're over simming a bit, but very, very good overall. I would honestly keep an eye on this sheet. Whenever something changes, the sheet will be updated. Probably have some trinket and gearing and item things added to this. I believe Atrayen has mentioned he wanted to do that. But overall, just an amazing job. Really big shout out to him. He's done a great job looking at this. Just no absolute concerns with this at all. There's little notes here telling you that Chromatic Essence is only better if everybody uses each stat. So like there's little things here that just kind of put it over the edge, and I think he's done an amazing job. And I just wanted to share this with you guys, let you guys know it's out there. And then also give you guys a bit of a picture about how Havoc's doing now after the most recent buffs. So that is going to be the video today. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, drop a comment, and of course, hit the sub button. Help me spread the video to other people, help us keep growing, help me do this, help me support myself, stuff like that. But I appreciate you guys watching. Again, big shout out to Atrayen, who was inspired by Whisper, so shout out to both of them, I guess. Really cool stuff. Great stuff happening in the Havoc Demon Hunter Discord. I'll link in the description. I'll link this in the description. Very cool stuff. Now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Happy Mother's Day. So anybody watching this, tell your mom you love them or something. And I will see you guys next time with another video. So peace.